So, you're thinking about getting a guitar MIDI system. Most probably you're looking for new sounds and wow factor. You want to stand out and you want people to think, wow, how did he get that sound? And MIDI guitar seems so fresh, it's actually not even that common among the professional guitar players. On the other hand, it's also pretty expensive, so you must be wondering, can it deliver or will it just end up as another dust catcher somewhere in the attic after a few months of being my new favorite toy? Well, I own one since 2005, so I have about 12 years of experience here, and if you have a couple of minutes, I'll be glad to honestly talk you through what it can do, where it sucks, how I ended up using mine, and where it completely failed. I think those few minutes are worth it if you're considering spending about $600 on it, but if you think otherwise, you can just use this button to jump to the summary section. Now, if you have seen all the demos on the YouTube, you most probably know about all the features, like being able to assign different sounds to different sets of strings. You also know that the expression pedal is very flexible and you can assign almost any parameter to it. You most probably also know that this thing has a bajillion of sounds, trillions of effects and zillion of options like play, feel, sound blends and so on. What you may be missing though is that all of those options are pain in the ass to edit. Scrolling through 400 sounds with a scroll wheel takes about a minute and editing effects is even worse. With the latest versions you get the software to do that painlessly, but if you have to modify anything without a laptop around, before a gig or in a rehearsal, well, you're in for trouble. Another thing you may have not given enough thought is mounting the pickup to your guitar. If you have a Les Paul type bridge, tune-o-matic, you're perfectly fine, there's an adapter for that. If you have a Strat with a plastic pickguard, well, you'll need to drill the holes in the pickguard, it's not a big deal. But if you don't have a pickguard, you're screwed. You can either drill the holes in your guitar or use the adhesive provided with the pickup, but I wouldn't count on it lasting that long. Also, some guitars like this one here does not even have enough space for the divided pickup, so this is something you might want to check before spending the money. Most probably your main concern is how well can this thing track my playing, and the answer is just like pickup, divided. First of all, your technique needs to be extremely clean. No unnecessary sounds, no muted strings. Basically this thing goes haywire when you play a muted string. If your playing is really extremely clean, it will get 99% of the notes right. Sounds great, yeah? Well, not really. Because this means that 1 in 100 notes will be messed up. And how many songs do you know that have less than 100 notes? That's right, not that many. And this means that if you're in a gig, you're pretty much bound to screw up a couple of times. So, if you were wondering how many of those MIDI guitar YouTube videos and demos were made in the first take, you know the answer, not many, and certainly not this one. Now, tracking is really good when playing solo, especially with synth sounds. Even bending works really well. When it comes to latency, this thing is excellent. You feel the sounds come out right as you play them. Speed, however, sucks. Forget about shredding. Fingerstyle, a little bit less brilliant, but it's manageable. Yeah, there are some extra sounds, but not bad overall. Of course, strumming makes absolutely no sense. But I guess you kind of knew that already. Okay, so that's about tracking. Now the instrument quality. Again, we have some really good sounds and some really bad ones. I already mentioned the synths, which are great, but I also love the flutes. They feel really great when playing. Also, strings are excellent. And they make the tracking mistakes less audible. Now, on the other hand, we have this thing. Yeah, it's supposed to be a Strat. Now, for those of you that don't know how a Strat should sound like. I don't know why they put the guitar sounds there. It must be some kind of exhibit joke, like I put the Strat in your Strat MIDI system so you can play Strat while you're playing your Strat or something like that. But the most important thing when it comes to sound quality is that this thing has MIDI out. And this means that you can connect it to external synths or even virtual instruments. Also, you can blend your guitar sound, or for the best effect, blend the original sound coming out from the Roland MIDI, blend your guitar sound and a virtual instrument. favorite thing that doesn't get enough attention is the sustain pedal. You can use it with volume pedal on the guitar for this effect. Or you can do something like this. Or like that. Yep, it's still just me playing, but it's really hard. You need to operate the sustain pedal and it has to be slightly out of rhythm because you need to press it after you play the first note. Also, the first note, it cannot be muted because this thing just goes bonkers when you play a muted note. And actually, I was never able to complete this song in the rehearsal without screwing up at least once. But if we are talking about playing with yourself, the MIDI system works really great if you're into looping. It just expands your musical vocabulary and works wonders. Okay, so let's recap. If you're thinking about using this thing live in a band, forget it. Because of sound tracking problems, you're limited to things that work like solo synths and strings. And the funny thing, if you take a look at professional players that use MIDI systems, those are exactly the two sounds they are using. Also, when used live, it creates a lot of problems. You need to run it through the mixer because it sounds crap when played through the guitar amp. And also, if you connect it in certain ways, it creates a ground loop which causes a lot of noise. So the funny thing is that the only people that noticed it at the gigs were the sound guys. And the question they were asking was not like, wow, how did you get that sound? But man, do you really need that piece of crap? So there was no wow factor in the audience. It's basically just another gizmo, and it comes with a pack of problems. So I finally just gave up on using it live. As I said earlier, it works great if you're into looping and one-man band kind of things, but you know, music is like sex, it's much better when you do it with other people. So, did mine actually end up as a dust catcher? Well, not really. There's a place where you can erase all the mistakes, and it's called Studio. For example, all the organ parts in this song were recorded using a guitar. Also, because this thing can record MIDI data, you can also record scores and tabs. So I ended up using it a lot for video tutorials and when collaborating with people who actually read notes. Still, I use it maybe 5% of the time, and most probably this will also happen to you in the long run. So if you are able to pay more than $600 for something that you will not use that frequently, even in the optimistic scenario, you can go for it. However, there's plenty of stuff you can get with that kind of money, like a tuba, a great used tuba, a great used guitar, a multi-effects pedal, a decent audio interface, and loads of other stuff you need for home recording. And if you don't have a decent amp or guitar yet, you should definitely use the money to get it before a MIDI system. Getting a multi-effects pedal will also be a better choice. You should really focus on the basics first, both when it comes to the hardware you buy and to your playing. You can also get 6 walls, an espresso machine, or just 1100 KitKats. I did the math, man. Well, it's your choice, man.